What's going on, guys? It's Filmington and back with another video. In this one, we're going to be talking about 2022 baseball, sealed wax, and just some of the risks involved if you are to invest in wax. I'm mostly talking about those that are holding on to it sealed for a period of longer than 6 months, not those that are able to buy directly from Tops, from distributors, or those of you that have, well, I guess you really can't use bots to buy hobby boxes. That's more for retail. But all right, so let's get started. Now, this is related to the last video I made, but this isn't going to be just specific to 22 Topps Chrome, although it's going to be difficult to avoid using examples with 22 Topps Chrome in it. But basically, you know, some of the risk factors involved in investing in sealed wax from this year, or even last year, you could probably apply to as well. There's going to be some amount of a print run increase, most likely. We've seen considerable increases, especially after 2017. I think I had looked at the back of a pack of Series 2 from 2019 versus 2022, and I noticed that based on like the average parallel odds, it looked like the print run increased, not including complete sets, about 2.75x, and that's from 2019 through 2022. Of course, from 2017 to 2018, we saw print run increases across most products. That's when the hobby really started to tick up. And of course, the Ohtani mania after the Judge mania, the manufacturers took advantage of that. So from 2018 to 2019, you saw even more increases as well. So you've got the print run jump. It's something you've always got to factor in, and you might not know exactly what that is. They employ all these different tricks to make it difficult for you to back into that total number of configurations. So like how many hobby cases they print, how many blaster cases do they make, and all of the other different configurations, as well as changing up the SKUs slightly from year to year. Last year, we saw Topps Chrome Light for the first time. All of these different parallels they've included, right? Something that makes it a little bit more difficult to calculate. The second risk factor has to do with the overall macro environment. So that could be, you know, talking about the economy. So outside of the hobby, the health of the consumer, inflation, you know, what is the impact from increased food costs, increased utilities? How is that going to affect the consumer's ability to spend money on cards? You know, how much spending power does that person have? How much discretionary income do they have after all of those other expenses, right? Other macro environment factors could be just, you know, the size of the hobby itself. Is it continuing to increase as print runs have increased? Or has it stayed flat? Maybe has it taken a step backwards, or maybe it's increased, but the total amount that each hobbyist is spending has decreased from the last time this product has come out. Third risk factor has to do with the price increase, and you know, we've seen this from 2019 through 2022. We've seen the prices of Topps Chrome, for instance, increase quite a bit. 2019 Topps Chrome, you could find that pretty easily for like, I think 110 at release date. And that actually came down to like 75 to 80 right around Black Friday. For the better part of the first couple years after it had been released, it was under $200, I believe. So comparing that to today, of course, you've got this whole issue with 22 Topps Chrome and the silver packs, and prices on hobby boxes have fallen below $200 on eBay, I believe. A lot of uncertainty as to, you know, how much these silver packs are going to be worth, how many short prints will they include, how desirable and rare will those short prints be, and which hobby boxes that you buy right now, especially from the lesser known sellers on eBay, will you actually get those silver packs from? A lot of uncertainty right now, but if it wasn't for that extended base short print issue, I think we all know that hobby boxes this week would still be above $200. You've got other issues too with base autographs. I haven't seen surface of Wander and J-Rod, so that's interesting too. But anyways, prices were intended to come out at $300 versus the $110. So the issue with the price increase, well, there's a few issues. First of all, it's more expensive and it's going to push people away, one would think. And it's increasing at a rate that's faster than people's purchasing power is increasing, right? But also the velocity of the rip is affected by the cost of the cards. So 2019, $110 at the time. 2019 Topps Chrome was pretty hot product. People weren't like, it wasn't super coveted because the pulls were super great or anything. At the time, we weren't dealing with the inflated base card prices yet when that product came out. That was more 2020 when that started to take effect. But Fernando Tatis was having a pretty great year. Season was shortened because of injuries. Pete Alonso had a great year. Eloy Jimenez had some buzz. And of course, Vlad, people were kind of waiting on him to break out. A couple years later, 2021, Vlad and Tatis really drove the product with their seasons. Vlad second MVP in the MVP, and Tatis was third. So you've had those players perform well. Again, the product was, for the most part, under $200 till at some point, probably in late 2020, is when you saw that product blow up. And 2019 Topps Chrome peaked at around $950, I think, last year. And it's come back down to about $550. Then with the Tatis suspension, now it's closer to probably $400. So you might be thinking like, well, you know, there's a lot of good rookies in 2022 Topps Chrome. There were a lot of good rookies 2019 Topps Chrome. So why can't 22 Topps Chrome kind of turn into a $400 product at least? You know, nobody's been popped for steroids yet in that release. So forget about all the issues that are happening with 22 Topps Chrome right now. Pretend like they weren't happening. And even you can still kind of see this. For the most part, Topps Chrome breaks are filling. Maybe not the pick your team breaks, but Topps Chrome is very popular right now for breakers. It's probably the most anticipated baseball release of the year. Bowman Draft is, I think, the only thing that's really even close to it. So people are going to want to open this product, even regardless of what that checklist is. People, hobbyists, just, they enjoy Topps Chrome. They enjoy the look of the cards. They enjoy the experience of trying to pull rookie cards of this year's class, even though Wander's from last year, right? This time around, Wander not really showing a whole lot of promise this year. I know he had a great half season last year. But, you know, who's really going to carry the product if J-Rod's impossible to hit? Again, kind of sans the silver packs. 2019 was a little bit different of a situation. And I think people are also realizing that the Topps Chrome experience is not a great one. Maybe some people that have come in from other sports, some people that are late to the party, some people that missed 2021 in the release there because of the lackluster rookie cards that were featured in that product. We saw a massive uptick in the autograph subjects in 2021. I'll show that here. And that carried over, of course, that got even worse for 2022. Now, back in 2019 or 2018, anybody that's ever opened Topps Chrome Hobby, even if you paid $100 for it, you know that the ROI is not great. And okay, you might think like, well, Panini Prism football, Donruss Optic football, and those same sets for basketball, you know, those are even worse, or at least comparable. But the thing is, baseball collectors and hobbyists are more price sensitive. We're known to be a little bit more rational when we open product. So that's going to create a little bit more of a divide than what you would see from a product like Bowman. With Bowman, the experience is known to be a bit better for those that open Bowman Draft, Bowman Baseball, Bowman Chrome, the three major releases. Bowman Sapphire this year was great. Even Bowman Megas to an extent. People that open those products know that the ceiling is higher than Topps Chrome when you're opening the product. They know that the floor is usually higher than Topps Chrome as well. So you've got higher prices for Topps Chrome. I think there's going to be a little bit more of a threat to just really poor velocity of the rip. And what's going to happen, you know, there's a lot of people that pre-ordered the product that weren't able to get out of the pre-order prices and kind of got locked in. There's like a 15% fee with certain distributors that maybe some people didn't want to pay. There's some companies that don't allow you to get out of the pre-order. You're kind of locked in, it's binding. So, okay, you're locked in at a higher price, but it doesn't mean you're going to open the product. If product doesn't get opened, then that doesn't really bode well for the future performance of that sealed wax, right? So what a lot of people that invest in sealed wax understand about sealed wax, and one of the properties that they really appreciate about that wax is that over time, the correlation between the underlying contents, meaning the singles, and the sealed wax itself tend to become weaker and weaker, right, as time goes on. So what you'll see with a lot of products is that the underlying contents will decrease in value and the sealed wax will either stay flat or maybe even increase over time. But how is that correlation going to weaken like it usually does if the product doesn't get open, right? Because that means that the sealed wax will not become increasingly rare or rare in a material way. And the singles won't become more common because the product won't have been opened. So those might actually stay flat or increase. So the amount that gets opened is an important factor, and the velocity at which the wax gets opened is an important factor as well. You know, even at today's prices between 170 to 225, what people are paying for regular hobby, is it really going to be opened? Is 100% of that really going to be opened at those prices? A decent amount will, but will a lot of people also maybe sit on it, maybe try to flip it at a card show, maybe try to hold it long term? That's possible as well. So the first 30 days after a product is released is very important. That's when typically a lot of the product gets ripped open. That's when breakers have the most demand for that product. That's when customers want to open the product. That's when singles are also the most inflated. So that gives you another reason to open the product, right? But after that first 30 days, then what happens is other products are released and the product loses its luster, right? And there are more singles that are available in the marketplace. So there's less of a reason to open the product and maybe less appeal for certain people to open the product because you can't flip the singles for the same prices, right? But the hobby gets distracted as a whole and breakers move on to the next thing. In this day and age, breakers are the number one mechanism for how product gets opened. So again, this is about new releases. There's a lot of other risk factors. I'll probably try to cover that in a different video that apply to all different types of sealed wax. Uncertainty with the checklist, storage costs, expired redemptions of key players, new releases that lack history. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Plenty more on the topic of wax to come. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Any other thoughts you might have, put them down below. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate all the new subscribers as well. And take care. Filmington out.